Good morning, babies, and welcome to Simply Stacy, where the joy of the Lord is my strength. Well, I want to talk to my singles again today, and I want to talk about waiting and how you wait and why should you wait. Number one, why should you wait? Because God requires you to wait on Him. He knows the plans that He has for you. Doesn't Jeremiah 29:11 tell us that? He knows the right mate that is for you. He wants you to have His best. He wants you to have the best life on this earth. And by you having that and being able to have that, you're going to do it His way. You're going to follow His plan. You're going to wait on Him. You're going to be anxious for nothing. You know, God don't want to see His children hurting. He don't want you being in pain. He don't want you in dysfunctional relationships. So many people are here hurting and wounded and in pain and misery because of these relationships they have gotten themselves into. Some women and men are in relationships right now. They're suffering and in pain every day. Every day they are in pain and they won't get out of it. They won't leave. They won't live their own truth. They just going through every day painfully, suffering every day. God don't want that for His children. He does not want that for His children. But when you're disobedient, you go into captivity. The children of Israel did it all the time. When they obeyed God, they was free, had victory. When they were disobedient, they went into captivity. Babies, God don't want you into captivity in these marriages. Marriage is supposed to be for a lifetime. You got to be with this person for a lifetime. Right now, enjoy your singleness. It's a reason why God has you single. He may be working on you. He may be preparing your mate for you. It's different reasons why you are single right now, but embrace this moment. Don't be so angry with this moment. So many women, and I see this with women a lot, they are angry about being single and not having their mate in their life. Don't be angry. Then they get jealous because they see other women getting their mates and they don't have theirs. But a lot of times in my history and me seeing these different women that's getting married and a lot of women that's single, a lot of these women that's getting married, they picked these mates. They chose these mates. And then they wind up going through puberty hell. Sisters, 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 if you don't want to go through that, if you don't want to be in hell on earth, wait on God. Don't go out here trying to make your own choices. Wait on God. That's one reason to wait on God right there, because you don't want to go through. But you have to make your mind up that you don't want to go through this drama, that you really want this godly relationship that'll be loving and caring and understanding. Not that it'll be perfect, but it'll be a whole different playing field. I got married when I was 18, and I've been single now all my 40s, and now I'm 52. And I believe and I understand now that God got me in this place of singleness. He got me in this place of singleness. He taught me some things about myself that I probably wouldn't even have never learned being in a relationship with a man. Because now I had the time to be still and to learn me. In my marriage, I didn't really know who I was. For one, I got married so young. Then my world became my husband and my children. That's the word. God said a woman that's married, she does the things to please her husband. But when you're single, you try to please God. And I am living that right now. My life is trying to please God, and my relationship with God is to please Him. So that when my mate do come along, that God has prepared for me, and I know He has somebody prepared for me. It's just all about timing. I'm sure about that. But in the midst of Him preparing me for my mate, He's teaching me. He's helping me to understand Him. I done grew in ways that I probably would have never grown if I was with a mate, because I'd be trying to please Him, like the word says. But babies, enjoy this season in your life. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful season. But if you go around mad and angry and jealous because other people are getting married and you're not understanding how those relationships came together, a lot of them is not of God. That's why He got that in the word where He said, He that He joins together, let no man put asunder. A lot of these relationships God has not joined together. And you can look at these relationships out here and see the outcome of not doing it God's way. So if you want godly outcome, do it God's way. Do it God's way and allow Him to work on you. Enjoy this season in your life. Go out and have fun. explore things, learn God. Most people I see are very frustrated and anxious and angry, and that's their main focus while they're being single is when is my boo gonna come? When is my husband gonna come? When is my wife gonna come? And a lot of that is coming from your lust desires, you know, because a lot of people that had their sexual appetite activated, so now they want to feed that lust. And God did say it's not good for man to be alone, so you do want companionship. But a lot of people don't understand how godly relationships operate. It is not just about feeding your lust. You know, God's going to have somebody walk with you while you going through the warfare and stuff in this earth. Y'all will be able to enjoy God together and fight together in the spirit realm. You know, it's a lot to this godly marriage stuff that a lot of people don't understand. So you need to get understanding of it. Get in your word and ask God about it so that you'll understand why you're waiting for this godly mate. And ladies, I want to tell you this, not to discourage you, but a lot of men now in this time, and I know it probably was in previous times too, but more so now, you know, because I can just see a difference in the time from when I was a child to now. A lot of men don't even want to be married. This generation don't even think about marriage. All they think about is just shacking up, not getting married, not committed to each other. They get tired of that and move on to the next one and stuff. But ladies, a lot of us women, a lot of men now don't even want to be married. Then a lot of them are loving each other. Then they're in jail. So our pool of men is really limited. It's a lot of women in the church and a lot of faithful women. Now, you got a lot of women out there that are still Jezebels and Delilahs and still whoremongering. But you do have some like me and others that are really waiting on God, that's really seeking God, that you're chaste and you're honoring God with your body and your mind and your spirit. But there's not many men that's really doing that. They're not really chaste. They're not really honoring God with the mind, body, and soul. So if you really want a godly mate, you really got to be still and know he's God. Because God really got to clean these men up. They're hid. You don't want to put any kind of covering over top of you. Because if that man is being led by who? The enemy, that means you're being led by the enemy. Because his decision making process is not going to be the fruit of God, the fruit of the Spirit. He's not going to make things based on God's biblical principles. He's going to base them on what is flesh and what the enemy tells him. You don't want that kind of head over you. Ladies, it's really serious, the covering that you put over you. It's just like putting an umbrella up when it rains. You got this umbrella over top of you, and there's holes all in top of that umbrella. It's going to rain on you. And that's how it is with us with these men. If our covering is not closed up and strong in God, all kinds of stuff is going to get in our lives. All kinds of things is going to come in. All kinds of problems, all kinds of situations. And that man ain't going to know how to fight because he's not walking in the spirit. Not in God's spirit. He's working in the spirit of the enemy. So, ladies, it's just, you just have to keep things in perspective. And I know it's frustrating sometimes, especially when you're used to having a companion and you're starting this thing all over again, you know, without a companion. You know, you're just used to having a man walking around your house. You're just used to being able to talk to a man. That ain't even counting the sex part. And I know it's hard on you, especially some of you babies that's just starting out in this process. But believe me, if you just take every day and stick to your word and pray and fast, fasting is there to put your flesh under subjection. When you fast, you'll begin to get in your word and get revelation knowledge that you never had before. You'll understand God more because that fasting will open up your spirit. And the Holy Ghost will begin to teach you the things of God. Things will get easier for you. I was there, baby. When I got my divorce and I was out here on my own and I laid up in the bed and I was like, I've never been by myself. Never. Even in school, I always had a little boyfriend or something. And a lot of you been like that. You always had some fella, some man or something. You never been by yourself, literally by yourself, where you ain't have somebody. So it's a new experience. Honey, it was a new experience for me. I was like, God, you got to help me. Honey, just having the man come home from work and just walk through the house, honey, I felt like, oh my God, I felt that disconnect, that missing. I felt it. When you're standing at the kitchen sink and the man come up and put his arms around you while you wash your dish. I missed that. But I tell you what, God's help, He helped me through the process. It was rough. It was rough. I can really say it. I know some of you ladies are going through it. It's rough, especially when you're used to a companion. It's rough. But I can tell you right now, honey, it's light at the end of the tunnel that you can make it through this season of your life without fretting, without being anxious, without being angry, without being jealous. You can make it through because you can understand God's purpose for your life. Once you know who you are and the purpose that God has for you, when you learn God and His ways, things will get easier. When you realize that you don't want to be connected with no demonic spirit, honey, babies, while you're waiting, while you're waiting, be still and know He's God. Understand why He got you in this season of your life. Don't kick against it. Change is something that always happens in our life. But if you kick against change, it makes it worse. It makes it harder. Waiting, waiting, waiting on God. Part of waiting on God is trusting Him, knowing that He has your best interest, knowing that He's never going to leave you nor forsake you. Trusting Him. That's part of the waiting. That's part of your faith walk. What is God showing you? I asked a couple of ladies this a few years back. Did God show you that He had a husband for you? Because the reality is some women ain't going to get married. That's just the reality. What you going to do if you don't get married? You going to leave God? Some of you ain't even with Him now because you ain't got a boo. So when you get a boo, you know you ain't going to be with Him. And while you're waiting, you want to keep yourself lined up with the things of God. Don't let nobody or anything take you off the path of God. Walk in His ways. Keep His rules and His regulations. All the women in the Bible that got husbands and stuff, they got favor with God. They got favor. How you going to get favor with God? By doing His will, number one. Number two is keep walking by faith, trusting Him. Knowing that, like Jeremiah 29:11 said, He knows the plans He had for you and they're good and not evil. Babies, I love you and so does God. Just know that your waiting is not in vain. Be anxious for nothing. And don't get weary in your well doing, because if you faint not in due season, you shall what? Reap. Reap. You shall reap. You shall reap. Ain't no if. Ain't no if. You shall reap. Babies, I love you, and so does God. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And don't fret. God got your best interest in hand. He knows the plans He has for you. He knows. In your waiting, embrace it. Enjoy it. Ask God what the lessons you're supposed to learn in this time of waiting. What are you supposed to be doing in your time of waiting? And allow God to answer the question. It may not come the first moment that you asked it, but He will revelate it to you and roll out the carpet and let you know what it is that He's trying to teach you and train you in this season. Love you, babies. Have a wonderful day. Mwah. Smooches.